I have anyway. But let's just get this out of the way. So we might also I also need I need a little bit of time to rewrite uh, 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 a mocking library.
Okay, yeah.
We need to figure that one out. I'll take your screen here for
Sure.
a second. Let's see what we have. The last thing we did was
Yeah, you probably need to do get latest. I pulled Greg's changes in for the async
oh,
operations
he
on
did.
the.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Greg, wherever you are, thank you so very much. He just went out there and kind of cleaned it all up. I need to put the announcement about the changes he actually did because in the documentation, the standard itself, he went and also updated this. He basically went and updated most of it. You know,
Mm, yeah, he was very busy.
yeah, he really cares about what we do and he sees how important it is, and I appreciate that a lot. Okay. All right. So you guys actually went out there and made everything asynchronous. So it's asynchronously abstraction, and they even added the I don't know if it was you or him, but you added the no warn CS 1998. That will be
Yeah,
easy to remember.
yeah.
1998. Yeah, that's an easy date to remember. Um, I
Just not
started.
sure why. Just
Mhm.
not sure why it shows the compile thing on yours. In mine, it looks fine.
It's tripping. Let me unload and reload the project. Yeah, I noticed like it doesn't matter how much hardware power you have, right? You're still bottlenecked by some certain things in Visual Studio. It's still gonna take however much time it takes because parallelization is not always the thing that's on mind for developers when they're developing a feature. It comes as an after fact, right? They say, oh, pre-optimization is a bad thing, right? But the beautiful thing about standardization is that it tells you don't even think about it, not before or after. Just follow this pattern and your code will work. Just
Yeah,
focus on what you're trying to accomplish instead of how to accomplish it. Okay, I see in the validation here, you and I, if I do control MO, just for everyone to understand what Christo and I talking about, we talked about a few weeks ago, a couple of weeks ago, we
yeah,
announced an upgrade to the standard, right? We said every interface, no matter what it is, has to be asynchronous, whether it's a broker, a service, whatever it is, everything we're gonna asynchronize everything. We're gonna take advantage of this kind of quantum feature that value task can be both value or a task. It can fluctuate, right? And we basically are building our code moving forward with the idea that if at any point in time I decide to add some dependency, some remote dependency in here, right, that says get current date time offset async, then the interface will not change. That's the power of it. The interface will actually stay true to the contract that it's offering, but we of course have a lot more kind of abstraction ideas in mind, but baby steps, right? One thing at a time. Okay, going back to this to our unit tests. At the unit test level, we did, should show validation on add if source is null. We talked a little bit about, issues that we need to think about in terms of the properties. Show validation exception if URL is invalid, and then show validation exception if audit properties are not the same. I think this time we need to kind of engage the datetime broker and create a date and say this is now. So let's write this test real quick. So just for everyone to know, I'm gonna write a test in here, and this test will focus on making sure that the created date is recent. So you should throw validation exception on add if created date is not recent and log it async. Are we still 120? Yeah, we're good. It's just because the screen is too big, it's not showing, but that's really where we are. Okay, so given when, then I'll create a date time offset, random date time, create, or is it get random date time? There you go. So someone wrote is that you? It must be you. right? Date time offset
Yeah.
now, right? So this will take that random date time, and then we want to create a date that's, past or future, right? So I want to get, values in both the positive and the negative, right? So what we can do, here's an idea that I have for you. What we used to do is to basically create an invalid date, but you need to know the current date time so you can move the needle in times and dates this way. But here's one idea for you. So you can do data, member data or inline data. This one will have 1 and this one will have -1. Watch, right? And in here, I'll put that integer and I'll say, date offset. Where do you want to move the date, basically? And then I'm gonna go here and create a source, random source, equal create random source, and then source invalid source equal random source. And then this random source, look how crazy the AI is. Look, that last line was wild. Like, how do you know, dude? Like, how do you even know that this is what I was gonna do? Sometimes we had days, sometimes we had seconds or minutes. Anyway, we want to move it back and forth. Like, we basically want to say, create this random time. Actually, there's a piece here that I want to do, int random number, get random number like that. And then that random number multiplied by the date time offset. So that will move it back and forth like that, right? So that gives you an invalid date or non-recent date, right? So maybe my language should be even more specific here. So I'll go here and take this and I'll say date time offset invalid date like that. So now that I have this invalid date, I can go here and say, well, that invalid date is in my created date right now. Cool. Let me go get that random number real quick. Solution. I hate loose ends, man. I hate loose ends. They kind of get annoying. So static int get random number like that. Cool. Let's go back here. This should do it. Get random number, right? And get random number. Yeah, there you go. Okay. And this guy should be a theory, right? Because it's multiple sets of data. And so I have this. Now I want the exception. So invalid source exception. Source is invalid. Fix the errors and try again. And then I'm gonna go invalid source add data. Invalid source exception. Add data. Here, data is not recent. And then expected source validation exception, source validation error occurred, contact support, great. But how did we define that date is not recent? I'm gonna go here and say this dot datetime broker, right? That will be returning what we call now. And then the rest of this test is basically everything else we've done before, except that we're gonna verify that the logging broker has been called, the insert has never been called, and that the datetime broker has been called first. So datetime broker mock verify broker dot get current datetime offset times dot now. So now the order of this will change a little bit. So datetime goes at the top, and I want everyone to pay attention. When we verify no other calls, we really take it in the chronological order that it happened or would have happened. So there's datetime broker, logging broker, and then there's that. Let's take a look here again. So just explaining to everyone what I just did. I basically created a random date, and then I called this random date now. So now I get to control time in that context, not in general. And then this now time is what I set the datetime broker to tell me whether something is asynchronous, whether something is now or not, like fake what now would be, right? And then I basically created an invalid date based on that. That invalid date, that test will run two times in two directions, once in the future and once in the past, right? So when it runs in the future, it will basically go in that direction and basically say, here's number 5, and then add a bunch of hours and push it in the future. Or it goes in the past, right? To put a bunch of hours in the past and so on.
So,
Okay.
so
Go
Hassan,
ahead.
I've got a question for you before we
hmm
do the implementation of that.
Hmm.
Why do we have to do the randomization on line 250?
This here, because if I put just one, it'll always be
So,
static. And go ahead.
so in my mind, I've got if I use what we've did on other solutions, we've got one at the top and minus 61 at the bottom on your inline data.
For the seconds,
Yeah.
we
Um,
could.
be, be,
hmm
be, the reason I'm thinking that way is that it immediately tests your threshold. You don't sit with a random number.
hmm hmm
So you immediately know when you're breaching your rule.
hmm we could do that. We could basically, so instead of this get random number, you're basically saying put 61 here,
No,
and then
61,239 minus 61 on line
so
239.
over minute, right? Like this,
Yeah.
and then the 61, and this over minute goes here, and then you're
No.
basically adding seconds, right?
Yeah. So that'll be add seconds, and you just inject daytime offset on its own. So there's no times on line 253. So if you take out over
This one
minute,
here.
yeah, take out
Oh,
over minute.
take out over a minute. Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then delete line 250.
Delete that.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're
And
basically just specifically, but how do you say more or less?
so you want to know the moment the rule is violated. So if we say you know time in the future, you violate it when you're 1 second over. So that's the top invalid data.
Right. And when you're
And
61 seconds less,
yeah,
hmm, what happened?
then it throws you exception
But
because
not,
you
but
don't
that, go
you
ahead.
you you don't want to miss your validation rule because you've got a random thing 200 seconds in the past because it doesn't show you where you're violating. Just like you wouldn't expect on a form that your validation would cut out on X amount of seconds on top of your allowed character range.
Right, I'm with you. But in this scenario here, you're only saying throw the exception if the date is in the future.
Yeah, because you've got a range at the top with your theory, your test will run twice, one with the positive date and one with the negative date. So that
Right.
239 becomes minus 61.
Oh, you're adding a second. I see. So if you make this 61, 61 like that, and then
So,
seconds.
so, so the top one is still one because you the, 1
So
minute
this
in
is
the
still
future.
one.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So that
Okay.
and that one is still 61. Yeah. No, you've changed it back.
Like this.
No, top one is one,
Uh-huh. And this
and
is
that one is
61.
61. Yeah.
Like that.
So then you've got the bottom cutoff and the uh, top cutoff.
So this will run twice, and it will
Yeah.
take from the current date uh, a second less.
It will add a second because it's add seconds, which is
It'll
positive.
add a
So,
second in the future.
so,
That's
so,
right.
so yeah. And we don't allow a future date, so that will throw it immediately. And on the second condition, we don't allow more than 60 seconds in the past. So you immediately hit that threshold on 61.
I thought we allow a grace period of a minute in both directions
No, we changed that. That was a standard change, I think, about a year ago.
because of the because we let's see
So
here.
we said
Hmm.
we're not doing any future, we're not allowing future dated requests. We can't,
Mm,
we don't allow time travel.
right.
So if your request is slow to submit for whatever reason, you've got 60 seconds grace, but we don't allow a forward dated request. So
Gotcha. You're allowing 60 seconds
from the,
backwards because that
yeah,
already happened, but you can't travel. Yeah, I'm okay with that. That's fine. So this is invalid seconds,
yeah,
right? Yeah, that's fine. So add seconds, invalid seconds, it will go. So if this is so if this is 11 o'clock, if this is the now, right? What we call now, then what's gonna be invalid is both this. Why is this thing reading my mind? That's crazy. But you're basically pushing in the past. So this would be invalid, right? But also, or this guy would be invalid. Is that
yeah,
right? Yeah, because that's no, this you could go up to here and say that's invalid,
yeah.
right? 11,
59, 60 seconds
if
from
it's
11.
yeah, that's right. So 50, yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. Cool. All right, let's run this and see. Let's run this here and let's see how that looks like. So we have a failing test, and the failing test, is it failing for the right reasons? This piece is important because if it's not failing for the right reasons, and by the way, just an advice for everyone out there, you will run into a situation with these date where, say here, it says date is not recent for created date, and it should not contain an updated date key. And it contained that updated date key because the created date and updated date are not the same. So we probably need to do updated date here as well. So
Yeah.
we avoid, because that's not what we're validating. We're really just trying to validate. I remember at a point in time we had to kind of like pass the invalid date to the randomly created object, but I don't like that anymore because the problem with that is that, yeah, see, this might be a better. No exception was thrown. Now we're talking. There you go. No exception was thrown. That's it. So here's the problem. If we pass the invalidate inside the create random source, you don't know what the problem is anymore.
Mm.
Gregory says when you do this slash slash like this, you're telling Copilot to assist. I didn't know that. Hi, Greg, by the way.
Greg should join us on the call.
Where is he? Why isn't he joining us? Hop in there. Where is he? Did I put the link in the wrong place? I put the link in the wrong place. That's why. All right. He says when it is on the line of code. When it is on the line of code. So let's test it. So if I go here and say value task is a struct, see? That's wild. And then maybe if I say source, maybe it'll tell me some more things. Oh my God, Greg, how did you know that? That's crazy. What about if I say add source task is a value task of oh bro, see that's crazy. That's some crazy stuff right there. Did you know this, Christo? I didn't know that.
I saw
I,
it in a video a while back, but I've never used it.
I didn't know that. What if I do this? Verifies no other calls. That's wild. That is wild. What if I do this? Now I'm gonna leave the whole session and just a wait is necessary. All right. Okay. All right. Here's a fail. It's yours. Let's go.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I've got my code. Okay, so we're creating a new rule is not recent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we need a new rule to be. Oh man. Oh man. It's trying to be smart, but it doesn't know
Yeah,
how we do it. It really doesn't.
yeah.
We have a specific way. This date not saying. Yeah. Or date's not recent. Mhm.
Um,
Result. Why
yeah,
result?
because we made it async.
Oh, for the get date. Oh, there gotta be a way around that. But
I,
keep
I,
going.
I, I
Mm.
think it's the dynamic that doesn't like it if you do the await in there. Um,
Th-
so
there's probably one way we can do it, but I'll just wait for you to finish this. Oh, good catch. Interesting. Very interesting things coming out of the. Huh.
um,
Yeah, you have an extra dynamic, like the keyword dynamic.
uh,
You have an extra one there.
did I break something now with the comma they?
An object reference is required. Object reference. It wants you to be static. Yeah, that's right. You can't. I don't think you
Oh,
can because yeah, you have to take static from both because you're calling
yeah,
a private class member, which needs a reference to the object.
yeah,
Yeah, there you go.
that's it.
That's right.
So the thing I had there is he did not like that.
So you can't do value task dynamic.
No,
You can't.
didn't.
Try it. Let's try it. I believe you, but let's try it for people. And then if you do async on the
Oh
private,
yeah, and then
what?
okay,
It works.
didn't want to do a wait here when I did it.
Because of that in here, you could
Mm,
await on the rules, if you like the rules themselves.
you mean like that?
No, no, no. I mean like in the business rules engine itself.
Okay, yeah. Let me just run it. I don't know if it'll complete that asynchronously, but
No, it can't because you're still
yeah,
sending a something has to resolve, right? This
yeah,
this value task. But if you go into If you go inside the validate, the actual business rules engine, where are the rules coming from? You're passing these rules like that, right?
Yeah.
So just for funsies, consider making every rule value task async. Let's
Okay.
try it. Let's make every rule value task async. So all these invalid, yeah. And you probably wanna you have to say async instead of static, because async tells it to resolve. Yep, same thing. Just copy paste all of that. Instead of static dynamic, it's async value task. Wow, we are evolving even when we're just building the most basic thing. It's crazy. Is invalid
see.
URL. Everything is fine.
Yeah, this is just
Yeah. So now if you go to the validate, and then when you pick up the rule, so you see how we're passing these rules. We just have to await up at the yeah. Just say await is invalid. All of them, like right after rule. No, right after the rule. So if you hit Alt and drag your mouse down, it will update all of them at the same time. Yep,
at
and
that
just like
level.
yeah, it I know why it's airing out. Just update the rest, and I'll tell you why it's freaking out. So now if you go all the way to the top and basically say validate source on add is async. No, not this guy. This guy's fine. If you go back to the
Oh,
validate,
the
yeah, just say async value task. You need see done. Run again.
nice.
Yeah, you have to hate ugly code enough to push your innovation. That's what it is. Now, why is this freaking out? You have to await inside your actual method, because this validation method is now asynchronous. So go back inside the foundation service. So in source service, and then await this guy. And we should probably call it validate on add async, but let's just get it to compile first. Do you know what's cool about this validate on add async? If we decide to have external validation, like call an external resource, this will not change, even though it's
Yeah.
of an interface. There, we're getting closer. Uh, source validation error occurred. Source is invalid. Yeah, this is a good error. This is because source is no longer recent. You have to add. So you made my test pass, right? Which is you made the date
Um,
test pass, right?
thinks. Yeah.
Right? Give me the code. It's my turn. Yep. All right. Is it up? Let's take that.
It's a bit slow.
It's traveling all the way from England. It's gonna take a while. I don't think people really appreciate how crazy this is. Like you and I are sitting like 1,000 miles away, literally, and in a second, just going to a server and
Yeah.
replicating. The problem is that I know even like what's happening behind the scene. Like that's even crazier that it's replicating across regions. So it's fast for you and fast for me,
Yeah.
right?
Now I've struggled with this the past week. The signed commits. I keep getting a message saying the agent is not running,
Oh man, something
and then I
broke.
do it again, and then it works.
Something broke. I wonder it has. I want to simplify this. I want to add a Visual Studio extension that says validate my account or sign my account, and that's it. Remember, we talked about this a while back. I thought we did,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So all I have to do here is just say this dot date time offset date time broker mark because it will validate every single time and it's the created date. And I just have to verify here that this date was called before the storage broker. Verify it was called once. Watch this.
Yeah.
But how we did this before is that, yeah, but this is still, you know me, this is not good. It's not good enough for me, right? So I'll go in here and I'll go and say, okay, I need another one of these, right? And this new one, well, I want to basically pass in my own date time offset. Do you see that date time off? Oh, we already have it there. Create random source with, oh, someone already created this. Oh, Chris, you're just awesome, man. So date time offset, uh, random date time, create random date time, and then date time offset uh, now, right? And then I pass now to this guy, right? And I want to go here and add the dates for it. Random date time, get random date time offs. There you go. And then that now is basically what I put in here. And then that test will pass. Okay. So now I need to take this test here and put it right here. This is a pass. Let's pick up the next one. The next one, they're all going to be the same. So this one here is basically saying properties are not the same, but I want the created date to be the same. So I'll go here and say date time offset random date time equal and then date time. Just for people watching, I'm saying get instead of create because it's already there. It's like a sequence of numbers. I'm not actually creating time, right? It's already there. And then I pass that guy in there, random source, and then I have to just verify this dot date time broker setup, and also in here before the error actually has occurred, date time broker verify, and then this guy will also pass or not. Let's see, what am I missing? It's basically saying, so this is now, oh, because I intentionally jumbled up the created date, I need to take that away from the um, like right now I basically overwritten what the created date is, but I don't need to do that now because you know I just need to indicate that it's different. This is me just saying these dates are different. That's all. So this should pass. There you go. Passy pass. Oh, what did I do? I did something. Pass. There you go. One more. One more for the road. This one here, or two more rather. This one here says, oh, there's this whole set of dates, and we're basically saying set default, right? How did we get around that one? I think we just have to add one more in here that says the date is not recent. That's all. This one right here. There you go. Date is not recent. Like that. Come on. Item has already been added. Key dictionary. Oh, so this is because it's multiple. I need to go and do this basically. New string array of, is it a list or a string array? I think it's a string array, right, Crystal? I
I
think.
think it's a list.
Is it a list really? Why is it allowing it then? No, no, it's a string array. So now why is it tripping? It's basically saying expected inner exception to have key created date with values date is invalid and date is not recent, but found date is invalid. Oh, strange. Why? Why did it do that? Because what? Because so it doesn't like it when it has two. So okay, on the validation level here, you basically went and said is created date is invalid. So that created the key.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is not recent that created the other key and is validate still doing the upsertion. It should do an upsert. Yeah, upsert. So it takes
Yeah.
the value and then adds in the message. So why is it not seeing?
So, but validate doesn't need uh, what we do in the unit test. The unit test construction is slightly different for that keys.
Oh, you know why it blew up? Because the date time hmm because the well technically we didn't set up the date time broker to return anything. And therefore it's not going to be able to produce. Okay, let me go back to this. So it's basically saying I expected it to have this, but only saw date is invalid. But if I took this out
Oh
like
yeah,
that,
missing a
right? If I
setting.
right, if I took this out and I ran this again, it will fail, but for a completely different reason. Watch. So now it's complaining. Mock failed due to the following unverified invocation. Ah, no. It's just the fact that I never okay. Daytime mock verify once. So it is getting cold, but because it's not set up, it didn't actually return the value or something. Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah,
there you go. That's so strange. Okay. I need to understand this one more because this, like, what did it do exactly? Like, what was the outcome of is date not recent? What was the actual outcome is that of that, right? This is the same thing. So date time offset, random date time, get random date time offset, and then this is your now.
mm. So I think that create randoms. Yeah,
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I think that create random source doesn't need to be injected with the current date because it doesn't actually reach the. Oh, no, no, I'm wrong. No,
It
ignore
does.
me. Yeah, ignore me.
It does though. Yeah. So okay. So
Mm.
now if I run all of these, it all should pass or not. Let's see. It says expected inner exception. Oh, am I validating? Am I changing the? Oh, I didn't even pass it in. That's why. There you go. So if I run this again, there you go. Everyone's happy. So that goes right here. So we have this really nice foundation serves us almost at completion, but there's still kind of 3 unit tests that we have to write. The one for SQL, the one for conflict. You're adding a source with the exact same ID, right? That's the conflict one, the 409. And then we have one for general dependencies, like general database errors that happened. And then the last one, service exception. I'll do it tomorrow, same time.
Yeah. Um. We can carry on today if you've got time.
I have to run, unfortunately,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
tomorrow it'll be exactly about 30 minutes and we will close the foundation service, 9 a.m.
Okay.
Pacific Standard. Fair?
See you tomorrow then.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, Hassan.
Wait, oh my God, Greg joined
Mm.
and we didn't say hi to him. Greg, you said I'm not gonna join, and then you joined. Are you there? Where is he? You're on
He's going to
mute,
tell
by
us.
the.
Yeah, I'm on
He's going to
mute.
tell us. He's going to tell us
Yeah.
how unhappy he is with us now changing the
How long
validations.
have you been in the stream? I
Uh,
did-
all right. Can you hear me?
yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. No, there was people in the store, and I didn't want to unmute, and kind of hard on Saturday mornings because our store's open, and if people show up, I kind of got to drop everything. So,
Greg, what do you sell? I'll come
uh,
by, whatever.
well, I mean, I've said in the past. I mean, by trade, I'm a gem cutter, so I cut gemstones, and
Wow,
my wife is uh, a gemologist from the
nice.
Gemological Institute of America, and we've been in the jewelry business for 30 some years. But my original passion was software.
Software.
So
Yeah,
I do all of our web stuff, all our product management and stuff like that, and our online store, which is an open source um,
nice.
e-commerce site. Um, but like the last couple weeks, we've been painting our house, and then this last weekend, I dropped a 5-gallon bucket of paint on my little toe.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that's
I'm
why the
sorry, man.
last couple days I've been kind of pissy.
Oh,
So
you took it all out in a standard documentation. Like, let
yeah,
me
yeah,
get this
yeah.
out of my way.
And then I opened up and I'm watching you guys going, and I'm going like, none of this stuff is actually documented.
Yep, none of it is, actually.
Yeah,
You're
none of
absolutely right.
none of this date time, the validations before and after, none of it's actually in the docs. And I'm going like, nobody's going to know anything of what's going on. And I'm going like, up, looks like there's more work for this week.
There is, there is.
Yeah.
And
So
and I want to say I'm very, very grateful. I don't think like up until now and moving onwards, there's still like people that use the standard, but it's not really quite clear how important what you do is. It's very important. It's not important to them, but it's very important because this is how you make sure an engineering team stays balanced and stays focused, right? And like I
mhm,
said to you, there's a whole bunch of teams around the world are using the standard, even outside of the .NET Flow. Maybe I'll tell you that story when we're offline,
yeah.
but other than that, thank you so much, and I hope get well soon with
No,
the.
no, I'm better. I've got one of those, my wife calls it, I'm a black boot waddler right now. I've got one foot in one of those open toe black boots.
I know.
So, but yeah, it's better, but thanks.
All right. Well, tomorrow we'll sync up. If you have time, jump in. 9 a.m.
All right.
Pacific. You and I are in the same time zone, Greg. So it's
Yeah.
9 a.m. for you as well. We'll finish
Okay.
up the exceptions.
All
And
right.
thank you both very much. I'm very grateful. Take
All
care,
right.
both. Take care.
Thanks,
Okay.
Bye.
guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.